Hello, everyone in Facebook land. This is Attorney Dennis A. Samisi, Esquire, attorney at law, and I'm giving you a brief, kind of an overview of workers' compensation in California. Now, there are similarities to other states and federal, but this is specifically about California workers' compensation. First of all, many of you may wonder, why do some attorneys have ESQ after their name and other attorneys do not? Okay, let me just explain this. That ESQ after the name of an attorney is kind of a mark of distinction that he has arrived at his and is a member in good standing of the Supreme Court of the United States Bar Association, okay? And this is a procedure you go through. You get nominated, and then you get selected. And if you're, you have a good reputation, you can become a member, and then you're allowed to put this ESQ after your name. Yes, some say it is vanity, total vanity, because you don't have to win any cases at the Supreme Court. You don't have to argue in front of the Supreme Court of the United States or win the case. But it is a signal to the consumer that the attorney is a professional and seeks self-improvement constantly, and is a good thing for the consumer. Okay? Now, let's go on to this presentation about workers' compensation law. This is just a short discussion of the basics of workers' compensation law, specifically in California, but it does have similarities to any state or even a federal workers' compensation system. Workers' compensation is not a lawsuit. It is a claim for bona fide on-the-job injuries. That's the important thing. It must be bona fide. You can't fall at home and then come into work and say you fell at work. That's bad. It's wrong. You can't do it. Don't do it. It's illegal. Now, all states have a statutory, very regimented and structured system of compensation for benefits. Workers' compensation is about benefits by law. These are set by law, and they're called statutory, which means there's a statute or a law for every one of them. They are very structured, which means there is little or no room for innovation by the injured person or their attorney. Sometimes I'll get a person who becomes a client, and then a few days later they'll call me back and say, I forgot to ask you, what are we going for? Okay? Now, this term going for is a term that they see on TV or in commercials, and it really relates to a kind of a lawsuit where you're hoping to get a big bunch of money as a result of your slip and fall at the grocery store. Workers' compensation, not like that, okay? Although there are settlements and there are cash awards, it is not the kind of system where you can go for something that's not in the law. All the benefits are structured by law. It is meant to be a level playing field between you and the employer. So the employer is not going to be a hardship on you or abuse you, and you are not going to gouge the employer. That's what it was meant to be. It is not meant to be litigation. Litigation is a kind of a word that means heavy lawsuits and very intense court proceedings and long drawn-out paperwork and documentation of everything. It was not meant to be that. It can become that. Even though it is a simpler system than a lawsuit, workers' compensation can be complicated, so you have to be prepared for that. This means the legislature of the state meant these laws to be non-adversarial in nature. In other words, they were meant to be a quick resolution to get you medical care and treatment, get you some supplemental payments to make up for any lost wages that you may have had. But it is not meant to completely compensate you, okay? It is meant to be a supplement, not a complete compensation. Okay, it does become adversarial in nature from time to time because disputes arise over the meaning of the words of the statute. So as much as the legislature of the state tries to make the statute very clear and very easy to understand, it can be misinterpreted, and it is subject to some variations by different people and different judges and courts around the state. Okay, we're talking about a particular situation in which a situation arises and we have a dispute. This can cause some variation in the way the law is applied around the state, but normally it is not meant to be like that. There's no room for innovation. You do what the law says you do. Okay, sometimes this can occur when you have an older rule of law that interferes with a newer rule of law, or a rule in one court jurisdiction that interferes with another rule in another court jurisdiction. These things can happen from time to time. Although there is no cookie cutter solution to the workers' compensation law, in other words, every case is not going to be the same. Every person is unique, so every case is unique. Every injury is different, so every case is going to be different. Now, an anecdote is a small story about a situation, okay? We've all heard anecdotes. They're plentiful. Anecdotes are short stories or incidents that happen to someone that are taken as a rule. Now, that's the bad part. You can't take an anecdote as a rule. It is a situation based on a set of particular facts. So it's fact-driven. They are helpful, but often not fully understood, and they can be misunderstood, so that a person who says, well, Joe, my friend across the desk from me, had an injury, and this and this and this happened to him, and it went well. How come it's not going well with me? Well, it's because every case is different. The injury is different, the person is different, the facts are different. There's no cookie cutter solution, okay? So, what this boils down to is that you might want to get a consultation, a free consultation with an attorney about your situation. And most attorneys in the area here and in the state and around the country give you a free consultation, a free, short, brief consultation in which they'll look at your case, okay, and determine whether they can help you and what the results are. Just remember something very important. You must divulge the important facts to that attorney, okay? It's a fact-driven answer you're getting. They're going to give you an answer based upon the facts you tell them. So, if you change the facts, then the next attorney is going to give you a different answer because you gave him different facts. So that's very important when you're consulting with an attorney. Make sure you give them the important facts as they ask them or as you present them, okay? So I hope this brief this brief presentation gives you a little background into workers' compensation and attorneys and how important they can be in a workers' compensation claim. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.